just going to simple squat. Shoulders.
Bring your toes in a little bit. Well, once you've done 5 or so of those, you probably don't need to do any more, just let yourself open up. Okay, that's, so the squat for me is probably, I've got 5 exercises I like to just base my program around. So that's squat, hinge, push, pull, and like, well, 6 probably jump and land, and core options, okay, around the gym. Okay, the squat is probably my main one in terms of I need people to squat, okay, especially for rugby players, because the amount of benefits it can do around your sort of technique and tackle, jumping power, sprinting power. That's my main one, okay? It's also the one, along with hinge, that people get wrong most of the time and really struggle with, okay? So my ideal squat, okay, which I'm pretty like, this is how you squat, but it always varies between person to person, okay? So we're not all built the same. We've all got different size feet, we've all got different hip structure around our hips and how our bones connect, etc., etc. So saying that we should all squat the same is pretty contradictory because you don't all look the same, you don't all move the same. Okay, so some people are going to be able to squat easily. For those guys, congratulations, you've won the genetic gene pool. You're going to be able to squat and you've got good mobility. Some of us it's going to be a lot harder. Okay, I fall into that category, which is going to be a lot harder. There's always stuff you can do, and exercises aren't black and white. There's ways you can work around it. Okay, so who struggles to keep their heels on the floor with a squat? Stand up. Okay, so just give us a demo of 5 bodyweight squats. Cool, so what we're looking at here, lads, is where do you think the restriction is? What's stopping a squat? You go 5 reps. Is there one, is there one particular, still staying here? Okay, is there one particular joint you think is going to stop him squatting there? Okay, or make it a lot harder? Yeah. Hips, potentially. Knees. Okay, it's this one down here, okay, I think, anyway, his ankle. And I'll tell you why, really easy. As soon as I put 2 of these under his feet, tap your heel on them like that. See what happens to his squat, hopefully it's like, whoa, look at that. Straight down there, nice and easy. Okay, so is that telling me that his ankle might be the limiting factor in terms of his squat? And that is something I see in 9 out of 10 people that walk through the door, is that that's one of the biggest factors. And why do you think that is? Anyone got any ideas?
Not flexible enough.
Not flexible in our ankles, but why?
Don't stretch them.
Stretch them. Okay, it's quite a difficult answer actually, because there's loads of factors why. Partly because the way that the education system is and how we're brought up is there's a lot of more sitting down than there used to be, so we're not actually stressing that ankle as much as change. Another one is footwear. Okay, we're all guilty of it. I'm not seeing like loads of really bad shoes in here. Okay, but even stuff like Ultra Boost and stuff with a big cushion at the bottom, it's really comfy, but it's not natural for our foot to move like that. And the biggest thing is time, because we spend 8 hours a day or whatever sitting down and not stressing our ankle, but we don't spend 8 hours trying to do the opposite. We're always going to have that restriction. Okay, but this gives you an opportunity to start to work around it and also work on those issues. That's not the only fix, and obviously I don't want people to be squatting with weights on their feet the entire time, but that's going to gradually bring them down to a really nice squat. Okay, and that's not the only restriction. So even if you grab one of those 5 kilo plates, so even without these, just add in a counterbalance and a weight, it's going to help him squat as well. That looks better than body weight. Okay, so even adding weight, you probably think that's going to make it harder. That actually makes it a lot easier, right? Cool. And even you've got to play around with foot positioning as well. So turn his toes out slightly. Okay, got no issues with this. Biggest thing for me here on the squat is that wherever your toes are going, okay, your knees are going as well. So if I'm here, my knees are going forward, okay, I've got to let my hips open and I can just sink straight down into my squat. Okay, so go a little bit toes further out and knees going, gives them a little bit better restriction. Okay, also, what do you do then?
Moves a bit wider.
Yeah, moves his legs wider. Okay, I'm all for things like that because we're all got different hips, but there is limitations to it all, okay? I'm never going to get someone to squat like this because nothing in sport happens that close. Okay, we're always in this sort of power position out here. I'm not only going to get anyone to do like a sumo squat here. Okay, I always want to be in a certain range because we're not training for powerlifting or squatting with our feet together. We're training for rugby. We want everything to transfer over, which is really important. Cool. Any more questions on their techniques of squats? Happy to do some applied sort of stuff. What else can Costa do to help his ankle mobility? That doesn't require any equipment. Stretch. Yeah. Stretch. Okay. Or a foam roller. Okay, and absolutely hammer his calves, everything around here just to loosen up, and it will come. It takes a lot of time, but it will eventually come. What's another thing that you can do? Keep training. Okay, keep stressing it, keep moving it, and it will click eventually. Cool. Any more questions on the squat? And I'll just ranted again. Second, so what I was talking about, so that was the squat patterns. Hinge pattern. Does anyone know what a hinge is?
RDLs.
Yeah, RDLs. Anyone want to demo just like a bodyweight hinge? Yeah, not too bad. So what's that looking at? What are we trying to get out of an RDL?
Hamstrings.
Yeah, hamstrings, trying to stress our hamstrings. What's that going to help us do on the rugby pitch? What are our hamstrings' main culprits for?
Tearing.
Hopefully not. Not sure enough. Yeah, so it's running, jumping, anything that requires that like hip extension. Okay, so getting our hips back there. It's also a really good position to get into in terms of a lot of stuff happens in this sort of like scrummaging and tackling, strong back, long leg position in rugby. Okay, very rarely is everything happening up here. I'm not making tackles up here, hopefully I'm not carrying the ball up here. I'm always in this sort of position, ready to go from that. So getting this position really strong is really important for me. It's also one of the things I see happening the worst in the gym, and probably one of the most dangerous exercises if done wrong, because a lot of people will move from their back rather than moving from their hips. Okay, really important that your hips move rather than just your back. Okay, so I can bend over, just coming through my back, my hips haven't done anything, compared to this, and I'm coming forward there. So, probably, who does RDLs in the gym? Who loads them up really heavy? How heavy?
Like 100.
Yeah.
100.
Do you always feel it in your hamstring?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Anyone do RDLs and feel it in their lower backs, or if they hinge and they feel it in their lower back? No one's really doing it.
When you get really tired sometimes.
Okay, we're playing with dangerous territory there when you start feeling it in the back. Okay, so this is one of the things. Also, how deep should you go on an RDL?
When you feel the stretch.
Yeah, okay, like I said earlier with our exercise selections, it's not about range and depth, it's about individuals and how they move. So some people are RDL to above the knee and they'll be like, oh my god, my hammies are going to blow, that's far enough for me. I've worked with some people that they need to go on, stand on something because they can get all the way to the floor and still not have a stretch in their hamstrings. It's massively variable to individuals. Okay, so that's really important. But at the same time, we always want our back to move. Okay, so what we're going to do is just really, really simply, we're going to each find a bit of wall. And what I want you to do, it looks really weird, but it's going to teach you that hinge really nicely. Is you're just going to stand nice and close to it to start, and I literally just want you to push your bum into the wall. Okay, that tiny little movement there is a hinge. And what we're going to do is take a couple little steps away, push your bum into the wall, a couple steps away, see how far away we can get and still put our bum on the wall with a flat back. Best if we do this in partners, so if people's backs start to go here, okay, we know we're doing something wrong. We want to be nice and straight and strong the whole time. Also have a go at that, see how far you can get away.